Hi, Momco friends. I'm Sissy and this is David, and we are so honored to be with you all today. We love every chance we get to intersect with you guys, whether it's MomCon or videos or in any place that we get to do that, and you all are doing a lot of heavy lifting. And we're excited to talk to you today about resourcefulness.
Yes, we are. We have been practicing as therapists with kids and families for 3 decades, which means we're really old. And we have always believed in the importance of helping kids build resourcefulness. But we feel more passionate about that right now than ever before because we're seeing less and less evidence of this as we work with kids. And as we think on kids developing this important muscle of resourcefulness, let's look first at what gets in the way. And then we're going to lean into how can we help them. We call it stumbling blocks and building blocks. So we're going to focus in on the stumbling blocks first. And I'm going to begin with a stumbling block. And moms listening, I want you to receive this challenge with a lot of grace.
We are on your team.
We are on your team. But let's take a good, hard, close look at motivation, our motivation. We have to make certain that our good intentions aren't getting in the way. Anne Lamott, who's an author that we absolutely love, once said that help is the sunny side of control.
Oh,
that's something to think on right there.
Yes, it is.
Sometimes our help isn't so helpful. In particular, based on our experience, Sissy and I's experience working with kids who are opposite gendered. So moms and sons, dads and daughters. I had a female friend recently say to me that it didn't occur to her until she was an adult that she had been making her lunch since she was in elementary school, but her mom was still making her brother's lunches when they were in high school. And I've heard a lot of stories along those lines. Moms, we want to pay close attention to how convenient it can be to do too much for the boys we love. Dads listening, the same goes for you with daughters. I have known plenty of dads over the years who are really hard on their sons and who can coddle their daughters. And I think, moms, it's easy for you to be really hard on the girls you love and to coddle the boys in your life. And it comes from, I think, a really good place, a place of good intentions. Because think about it, moms, you know what it takes to be a woman in this world. Dads, you know what it takes to be a man in this world. And so we want those kids to feel prepared. We want those kids to feel equipped. But in that desire, in those good intentions sometimes, we can get in the way. Our motivation can impair us at times. So we end up unconsciously being really tough on those same gendered kids. So we want to challenge you. Let's not do too much for those kids that we love. Let's not let that get in the way, is what we want to say.
And as we're thinking about stumbling blocks to resourcefulness, I would say I have my own or have had my own personal stumbling block to resourcefulness that might be related to exactly what you're talking about. My mom actually was probably less hard on me in some ways as an only, which I think can be a factor. But I believe that my mom, in her very best of intentions, had a hard time helping me with resourcefulness. We had this dance where I would regularly forget my lunch, and every time I forgot it, I got McDonald's. And so I became more and more forgetful as I got older. And y'all, I vividly remember too, standing in the yard. I mean, I could tell you where I was standing in my front yard when I remember thinking, if I push my mom hard enough, I can get whatever I want. And so that coddling can come, I think, with lots of different genders, lots of different kids. We want to be aware of that. And I think for my mom, she wanted me to be happy. That was her highest priority. And we talk so much about valuing their character over their happiness. And so as we're thinking about that, we want to be aware of that. And another picture of that, you all, we have an event called the Bike Thing that's a fundraiser for Daystar where we're both therapists. And it is a 10-mile ride on the Natchez Trace, and thankfully we stopped doing it a few years ago because it was really hard, but beautiful at the same time. But I would often be at the back of our bike ride, and I will never forget one year riding on my bike towards the back, and there was this car in front of me, and there weren't usually cars that kind of tagged along with us, and this one car was, and right in front of the car was a girl on her bike. I would guess she was around 11 years old, and I watched the car pull over as this girl got to the bottom of a hill, and a woman got out, and she picked up the bike, and she put it in her trunk, and her daughter got in the car, and they drove up that hill. And then at the top of the hill, the woman pulled over. Her daughter pulled out the bike, or she pulled out the bike for her daughter. Her daughter got out. She rode down the hill on her bike. The same thing, you all, for the entire 10 miles. This mom drove her daughter up hills. And we had a little medal ceremony at the end, which I was very grateful for my medal because I worked hard for it. And I remember looking at her and thinking, I'm so sad for you because you're aware of the fact that really your mom stepped in and kept you from feeling the joy and the competence and confidence you would have gained from doing something hard. And you all, in this day and time, we believe we're doing that way too much. We talk a lot about how we're so busy being resources for kids that they don't develop resourcefulness. And so we want to be really aware of that with both genders and both of our genders.
Okay, so let's talk some building blocks for a few minutes. We talked a second ago about the stumbling block of motivation. Let's talk about the building block of opportunity. And we believe strongly that kids are primarily experiential learners. Like they're going to make their very best connections by going through the motions. And we can know that and forget that. And we talk with kids way too much, thinking they're auditory learners when they're not. They're going to make their very best connections experientially. So let's put aside the long lectures. Let's put aside a lot of the talking and let's go back to that important reminder. And sometimes opportunity comes in the form of experiential consequences. Moms, boys are really good at saying often around a lot of tasks, I can't, when it's just something that's hard or they don't want to push through. But boys are really good problem solvers and they're action oriented. We just got to give them a chance to flex those great muscles. They simply need context. They simply need opportunity. So let's consider meeting his I can't with I'll wait.
That's
and
good.
We may have to follow that up with, you know what? It's okay if we have to eat into 15 minutes of your screen time. And I'm okay to take you 30 minutes late to the birthday party or the game or the practice, knowing that that experiential opportunity is where I think some of the best impact is going to happen. So if you're struggling to finish those chores, we can go a little bit late to practice today. I can remember being in college myself, coming home late with some friends, not paying a close attention to the signage in the parking lot behind me, and my car getting towed away. Twice. This is not a one-time event, but twice. And my parents could have paid that fee because money is really tight for college students, but they gave me the opportunity to eat ramen noodles for a month. I ate a lot of ramen noodles that month, and to cough up the astronomical fee for my laziness. It was an experiential context. So think on that.
I was recently with two of my dear friends, and we were having a conversation because one of their daughters was on crutches and was having to navigate life as a middle schooler, which is hard on a good day, let alone on crutches, carrying her books down the hall, getting to class on time, all the things you can imagine that would involve, the embarrassment, all of it. She said, my friend said, it is excruciating to watch her. And I said, it's so good for her. Because you all, there is no way we can short circuit crutches, which is one of the things we're doing, and that being the resourcefulness. There is no way around crutches. And literally, that middle school girl is building really good muscles, physically, but also emotionally, even socially, in terms of her resourcefulness. My other friend is a mom of a freshman boy in college who, as most freshmen are, as we likely were, our freshman year, lonely and struggling. He's having a hard time. And the same is true for him. You cannot short circuit your freshman year of college. You can come home, but you're still going to hit that point when you move away from home where you feel the loneliness. But you all, loneliness in kids grows good things. It's hard to watch, but it grows good things. So parents, we would say, we want you to think about how can you step back so they can step up. And then, like we talk about all the time, that combination of empathy and questions is one of our very favorite things when it comes to parenting and even thinking about motivation, as David's talking about. And so when kids come to you and are having a really hard time and you say, I'll wait, you can also say, that sounds really hard. What do you think would help? What do you want to do about that? What do you think's the right thing to do here? Because the reality is just by asking questions means that we believe the kids we love are capable, which is exactly the message we want kids to be receiving. In this day and time, in a world so full of anxiety, kids need to believe they're resilient. They need to believe they're capable of doing hard things.
And we certainly believe that you are capable as parents as well.
Yes, we do. We are cheering you on.
And we are two therapists who have been at this work for a long time. You heard me say 30 years, helping kids and families at Daystar Counseling Ministries here in Nashville, Tennessee.
And we would love for you to think about, we've got 2 questions we want you to think about as we're coming to a close on this video. We talk about this all the time in parenting seminars. This is helping you think on resourcefulness and where your kids are in this idea. So one is, what are 2 things right now you're doing for your kids that they can do for themselves? And 2, what are 2 things you're doing for your kids that they can almost do for themselves? And we want you to stop doing all 4. They are capable so much more than we have any idea so much of the time. And you all, kids need practice in developing resourcefulness. That's how they develop these muscles.
Parents, you've got this. I'm David Thomas.
And I'm Sissy Goff, and this is Patches Goff, one of our co-workers at Daystar Counseling, where she's a therapist in training.
And we are therapists who have been working with kids and families for 30 years at an amazing place called Daystar Counseling Ministries here in Nashville, Tennessee. We're actually in my office right now.
And out of that work of spending time with kids and families every day, we get to do some amazing things like talk with you all. We've been to MomCon several times, which we have loved. We get to write books. We get to have a podcast called Raising Boys and Girls. And we just are so honored to get to have time with you.
Yes, we are.